Joining us now is LaTosha Brown. She is the co-founder of Voters Matter, a group that's been campaigning to get Georgia-based businesses to come out against this wave of state legislation to restrict voting rights. Ms. Brown, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I greatly appreciate your time. How can proponents of voting rights fight back against this wave of restrictive voting rights that we're seeing Republicans pass in your state this year? Is there a way to out-organize this or a way to fight this, or is this going to require some type of intervention from the federal government?
I mean, I think it's going to require a bunch of things. I think that there are levels of ways that we need to address this. The first thing, I think there are four things that come to mind. The first thing is we need to repeal the bill. That at this legislative session coming up, there are going to be organizations and groups and people like myself that are actually calling for a repeal of SB 202. We can't just let that stand. Here it is, a bill that was passed to punish voters because of the way they voted or who they voted for. And so there has to be a push and a movement here in Georgia to repeal the bill. The second thing is we need new leadership. The governor was the head, the leader in chief to lead these efforts. And to sign and bring this bill forward to punish the voters of Georgia. And there's a governor's election coming this year. And I think that the best message to send is we have to send him home. There have to be serious consequences to what he has done, as well as Republicans in this state. The third thing is every single Republican, I don't think just in Georgia, but all across this nation should be challenged on the local, the state, and the federal level. We have to literally let people know how serious we are around voter suppression and that we're not going to allow that. And then the fourth thing is we've got to continue to push for federal legislation. We cannot out-organize this. What we can do is organize ourselves and put pressure points, but it's like death by 1,000 cuts. It's going to require us bringing many tools to the table because they've brought many tools to actually suppress the vote.
Ms. Brown, I know, your organization and others that have been tracking this. Do you think that these voting restrictions in Georgia will have the effect of depressing Democratic turnout, or will they actually motivate more Democratic voters to go to the poll? What do you think the net effect will be based on what you have seen so far?
Listen, let me say, and we've said this from the beginning, that this is going to be an uphill battle. The challenge is, I think one of the things that the Republicans constantly do is they underestimate the power and the resilience of Black voters in this state. And I think what you're going to see in the state of Georgia is I think we're going to see a historic turnout again. That does not mean that it's going to be a walk in the park, because here we are dealing with circumstances that our voters are more vulnerable, that we're dealing with circumstances that the Republicans have done everything they can to not only marginalize and make it harder to vote, but also to take over the administrative process, to weaponize that in a way that if they don't like the results, they can actually challenge or turn over the results. And so I think that is really important this year. I think it's going to have an impact overall around literally making it harder to vote and putting additional pressure on organizations to actually turn out the vote. But I also think that it also has another impact that when I've been talking to Black voters, they're frustrated, they're teed off at this particular moment. I think we're going to see a historic turnout next year.
All right, LaTosha Brown, co-founder of Black Voters Matter. Greatly appreciate your time tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.